Dear listeners, today's story has been sent to us by Niloy Ahmed Rakib. He is one of the many unsung heroes who work as remittance warriors and is currently residing in Taif, Saudi Arabia. His roots trace back to Rajbari village, located in Shahid Ohab Union of Sadr Upjala in Rajbari district. This particular story, however, was shared with him by someone close, Mohammad Rabbi, whose grandfather happens to be at the center of this mysterious tale. Let's dive into the narrative. The events unfolded sometime around the year 2000. At that time, Rabbi's grandfather was a resident of a small, close-knit village, where he cultivated sugarcane on a modest piece of land. Farming wasn't his primary occupation, so he had only a limited patch for cultivation. One season he decided to try growing sugarcane on that small field. Surprisingly, the yield turned out to be exceptional, and initially, it seemed like there wasn't much need for vigilant protection. But soon enough he began noticing something unusual. A portion of his sugarcanes would disappear every day. At first, he thought it could be the work of foxes that occasionally gnawed on the stalks. However, upon closer inspection of the marks, it became evident that the cuts were too precise to be animal-made. Realizing it must be the work of a thief, he decided to take precautionary measures and built a small watch hut in the field so he could guard his crops during the night. Luckily, the field was only a 5-minute walk from his home. However, not habituated to spending nights away from home, he would visit the hut in the evenings and return shortly after to sleep at home. For a while things seemed to calm down, but then the theft resumed. It appeared that whoever was stealing had figured out that the hut was unoccupied at night and resumed their activities. Determined not to lose more of his hard-earned harvest, he decided that this time, he would spend the entire night keeping watch in the field. Given their meager resources and reliance on the sugarcane crop as their primary source of income at that time, safeguarding the field became crucial. His wife fully supported his decision and made an unusual proposition. "You don't need to go alone or take our son, I'll come with you." Their only child was still quite young at the time, so they decided it was better for her to accompany him instead. On the night they planned their vigil, she prepared a packed meal of meat curry and rice cakes, and with that they headed for the field. Under the soft glow of moonlight, they spent those early hours walking around the field and chatting as they kept an eye out for intruders. The serene environment and illuminated surroundings provided a sense of ease. After some time they stopped for a quick meal before resuming their watch. As they patrolled their field once again, something bizarre happened. A faint light appeared atop a nearby date palm tree. The light started out small but began to steadily grow larger. Curiosity turned into unease as his wife drew his attention to this eerie sight. Both stood transfixed by the strange glow as it intensified. It was an unsettling sight shrouded in mystery. And then something truly astonishing occurred. The light transformed into a huge figure. Draped in what appeared to be white cloth, it had extraordinarily long hair that seemed to flow endlessly into the distance, perhaps even touching a nearby swampy area. The sheer size and appearance of this figure were unnerving. It bore some resemblance to his wife but lacked any overt threatening expression. Initially small in size, the figure kept expanding until its spectral form became unmistakably distinct. Both husband and wife watched in stunned silence as its features grew clearer, eerily replicating her appearance. Overwhelmed with fear, they abandoned their watch and hurried back home under the shroud of night. Their hearts raced as they repeatedly questioned each other about what they had just witnessed. What was that? Are we in some kind of danger? They anxiously wondered aloud all the way back. Upon reaching home, they discussed the unnerving experience at length and speculated about its cause. Eventually, they concluded that carrying meat and rice cakes might have attracted some supernatural presence. According to local folklore, bringing certain foods or behaving in specific ways can unintentionally provoke spirits or jinns in rural areas. The next morning, they returned to check on the sugarcane field only to find everything intact. No further theft seemed to have occurred. However, they were cautious this time. When planning their next night of vigil, they deliberately left behind any food items like meat or rice cakes and instead brought puffed rice mixed with molasses, thinking this change might avert any potential supernatural encounters. Around 2 or 2:30 in the morning during their second, though overwhelmed with fear, the grandmother mustered all her courage to hold back her husband. Her only thought was to prevent the mysterious figure from taking him away. Despite gripping him tightly, however, she couldn't stop him. An inexplicable, eerie force seemed to bind the grandfather, compelling him to move slowly toward the enigmatic presence. The situation grew so terrifying that the grandmother eventually fainted. Meanwhile, the grandfather appeared to have completely lost control of himself, his steps now guided toward the enigmatic figure. As he reached the edge of a small swamp known as Kana Beel, the mysterious entity spoke, instructing him to catch fish from the water. The grandfather, for whom fishing came as naturally as breathing, prepared to obey. But suddenly, by what felt like divine intervention, his awareness returned. He realized he had wandered far from their stilted house. Turning around, he saw the shadowy figure standing in the distance, now manifesting in the form of his wife. Unlike before though, its visage held no terrifying expression. Instead, it appeared cloaked in an eerie, plain shroud. Pulling himself together, the grandfather steadied his voice and demanded, "Who are you? Why have you brought me here? Where is my wife?" The figure replied in a somber yet chilling tone, "Your wife lies unconscious near your house. Leave her be as she is. You are here for me. Catch fish for me. I find joy when you fish. Those who see me rarely survive, but you are different. I haven't shown you my true form because I want you to live. Provide for me and I won't harm you." After listening intently, the grandfather responded calmly yet firmly, "You want me to fish for you, don't you? Remember this, I owe you nothing. Don't think I'll bend to your whims." He carefully analyzed the strange circumstances confronting him and resolved to face this enigma head-on, armed only with his courage. Although fishing under such eerie demands filled his heart with dread, he silently urged himself to stand firm. Yet just as his resolve began to solidify, the figure threatened him in a sterner tone. "You will fish for me. There's no escape. Do it and bring them to me or I'll destroy you," it commanded, its words cutting through the air with ominous finality. Still defiant, the grandfather managed to retort, "If you want fish, catch them yourself. I won't do it." However, his defiance enraged the figure further. Its appearance turned even more monstrous as it glared at him. Suddenly, a new horror began to unfold. Black mud beneath his feet trembled as he slowly started sinking into it. First his ankles disappeared, then his knees. The muck crept higher still, encasing his waist and then his chest. Panic clouded his vision as cold dread gripped him. Soon enough, the chilling sensation of wet earth reached his chin. Struggling against the sinking pull of the swamp and battling the consuming fear clawing at his heart, he realized he was teetering on the brink of survival, and perhaps something far worse. At the break of dawn, the sound of the far prayer call echoed from a distant mosque. The eerie silhouette that had caused unease suddenly altered its form, and in a chilling voice, it declared that it was leaving because of the prayer call. However, it left a foreboding message: "Don't think I lack power over you. I will return in my true form. This is your final chance." With that, the figure vanished into thin air. Shortly after, Nanny regained consciousness and noticed that her husband, Nana, was not by her side. Alarmed, she hurried back home and woke up her son to relay the entire harrowing incident. Acting without delay, her son raised an alarm and gathered the neighbors before heading towards the nearby marsh known as Cannibal. Upon reaching the location, the search party glimpsed what appeared to be a head floating above the water in the distance. As they ran closer, they discovered that Nana was alive but unconscious. With urgency, they pulled him out of the water and worked to revive him. When he finally regained consciousness, he recounted every detail of his terrifying encounter. How the monstrous apparition had tried to overpower and consume him when he refused to heed its commands. He described how he began sinking gradually, overwhelmed by the malevolent entity's force. Nana described the figure's immense size. It was so vast that its feet touched both a date palm tree and a banyan tree simultaneously. He admitted that its eerie presence had cast a spell on him, rendering him helpless and disconnected from reality. Even Nanny's attempts to save him couldn't penetrate his dazed state. This unsettling event made everyone realize that certain dark forces exist, capable of overpowering human willpower. Nana ultimately survived because of his unwavering determination and inner strength. Word of the incident spread, fueling curiosity among the villagers. Eventually, it was suggested that Nana visit a renowned local healer named Faku Cabbage, who specialized in dealing with supernatural entities. Upon hearing about the ordeal, Faku Cabbage quickly identified the malevolent entity, a wicked spirit notorious for causing deaths and chaos for years. The healer explained that such spirits have a fearsome presence. Even mere exposure to them could weaken hearts or threaten lives. He also revealed that this particular spirit had not revealed its true form to Nana but had been observing him for a long time due to Nana's talent for fishing. Faku Cabbage determined that the spirit's malevolent influence had intensified since Nana began frequenting his fishing spot near Cannibal. Thus, he decided to confront the entity head-on during an evening ritual. Employing special techniques, the healer began his intervention. Within moments, signs of the spirit's presence became apparent. Nana's body trembled and emitted strange sounds. Suddenly, Nana began speaking in an unnaturally deep voice, releasing curses and insults in language unrecognizable to anyone. When Faku Cabbage interrogated the spirit about its intentions, it confessed that it sought no major harm but merely wanted Nana to share his catch of fish. The healer countered fiercely, condemning the spirit for tormenting Nana so thoroughly during his fishing trips, causing significant physical strain and near-drowning incidents. Angered by its actions, Cabbage warned the entity of dire consequences if it ever harmed Nana or others in the village again. He revealed that on his property stood ancient banyan trees harboring even more powerful spirits capable of subduing lesser ones like this malevolent being. With his stern warning issued, Cabbage prepared to banish the spirit permanently. He took out a small bottle of consecrated water and sprinkled it on Nana's trembling body. The spirit let out a piercing scream in visible agony and agreed to leave under one condition. It requested a black rooster as an offering. Initially demanding something larger, such as a goat, the spirit relented after Cabbage argued for a more modest sacrifice due to Nana's impoverished status. The family found and retrieved a black rooster from their home as instructed. After they placed it behind the kitchen as stipulated by Cabbage, eerie sounds emanated from the area as other chickens reacted in distress. The spirit declared it would depart at last but promised to leave behind proof of its presence. Moments later, under the healer's supervision, an inexplicable gust of wind swept through, dislodging a thick branch from an old mango tree nearby, despite the night being entirely calm and still. With one final shriek, the spirit released its grip on Nana's body and vanished. The rooster disappeared shortly afterward. As calm settled over their household once again, Faku Cabbage addressed all present with a stern reminder. Malevolent spirits could coexist peacefully if they refrained from harming humans. However, swift measures would be taken against those who crossed boundaries. The people left assured yet contemplative about how narrowly disaster was avoided. In many ways, it was also one particular detail stood out in this narrative. Cabbage had already warned that when the demonic entity left Nanu's body, he must lean to his right side. If he leaned left, there was a risk of the entity returning. Thanks to Cabbage's foresight and guidance, Nanu followed the advice and leaned to his right as instructed. Following this, the chaos seemed to resolve itself, from the snapping of tree branches to the haunting cries of the rooster. Everything gradually settled, and with God's grace, no further theft occurred in Nanu's paddy fields. Though the stolen crops were never recovered, his fields returned to normalcy, and the damage remained limited to what had been lost earlier. Nanu is still alive today, as is the wise Cabbage who helped him through that ordeal. Even though this incident took place nearly 25 years ago, Nanu has chosen not to disclose the Cabbage's name, as he is now quite old and prefers to avoid any complications that may disturb his peace. This strange story is well known among the people of Rupur village. Niloy Ahmed Rakib shared it with us, along with other intriguing and mysterious tales that we plan to present to you in the near future. Dear listeners, we hope today's story has sent shivers down your spine and captivated your imagination. Thank you for your love and patience. A special note of gratitude goes to Mohammad Rabbi for bringing this story to our attention.